Akademiks says you were forced to hate the Heartpart 6, but you're going to love Iceman.
You're not changing people's minds. You're just reaffirming what they want to already think. It's almost like, this is why I tell people about perception and image when it comes to music. Fans think that they judge music independently. No, you judge music as a cumulative feeling of what's been going on. So at that moment when Drake dropped the Heartpart 6, there was nothing he could do to make you feel that, oh, nah, this was the one to really respond. So I got killed. They talk about that song like it's the worst song ever. That song is fire. Now, it might not be the best song in that battle, but let's just think about the song by itself. It's a good song, but people talked about it like it was the worst thing ever. Because at that point, people's minds were made up. The battle, they did not want to continue to mentally swing from left to right in who is winning. They wanted to award the win already. It is what it is. The atmosphere, the culture, the people, they said it's over. We don't want to hear no more. This was a knockout punch. They didn't want to say, all right, he ain't knocked Drake out. All right, that was like an 8 count, but Drake got up and he's back swinging. They didn't want to hear that. To them, no matter what Drake dropped, it wasn't going to be good. Trust me. And that mentality has subsided due to a lot of things. Hip-hop is boring. Bitches, they complain. They want more Drake. It's summertime. All the little, like the little rap nerds, like even they want some like feel-good music. And people's mentality have now gotten to the point of they're like, nah, Drake, just give us something, bro. Just give us something. And that's the mentality that is an open palette that you could drop good music. Now, there's still going to be a couple of haters. Then the little Kendrick people, on Instagram, on Twitter. Sometimes be wondering if they're getting paid.
What's up, world? Your boy Challz Brown back again talking facts. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Keep sending those cash apps to CLBMG. Join that membership and all you buying that merch down below. Gang, listen. Pay attention to what Akademiks said, the context of what he's trying to say. He said we chose the winner of the battle via a cumulative effort, a feeling of what we were told to believe that the battle was over, because the hive mentality of hip hop at the time was ready to announce a winner. They're rewriting this battle in real time, gang. Some people are proposing that the album Iceman is so bad, they're trying to get out in front of it. They're saying that Akademiks and others are trying to weave narratives to predate what we've already seen. They're trying to change in real time what we've already decided, what we've already heard. We all saw Akademiks giddy gumdrops in his chair. We saw him in two different, completely different phases. The first phase was when he was listening to Euphoria for the first time, and he was completely crashing out mentally, physically, and everything, trying to open that bottle of, I believe it was Henny, and then trying to crack the energy drink with his teeth. Couldn't get it open fast enough. He couldn't get that down his throat when he was listening to Euphoria, which had dropped unexpectedly, right? Unceremoniously. He just dropped the shit on him, and Akademiks was scrambling and scurrying, trying to get his thoughts together, and he was all in his feelings that he was calling him Crody and everything else, right? And then we saw the other iteration of Akademiks when he was reciting almost line for line the entire Not Like Us at the pop out. These two things happened, gang. It wasn't an alternative universe with two different things. They both happened. He was completely taken aback by the Euphoria lyrics in one shot, and in a completely different shot, he was giddy gumdrops reciting the entire Not Like Us line for line on the same stream, right? So we've seen different phases and versions of Akademiks, which leads you to understand that Akademiks walks two different journeys. He's a day walker and a night walker, and sometimes they clash and he forgets things. He forgets how things really happened in the real world. So people like myself are here to remind Akademiks of what's going on. If you listen to the clip, Akademiks is basically saying we were forced. We didn't have a independent thinking that the Heartpart 6 was bad or good. We were told what to think. And we somehow didn't accept the Heartpart 6 as a valid battle response. Now, I have no qualms about repeating this. I said it then, I said it now. I stand on what I said. When the Heartpart 6 dropped, I said, that's a good beat. It was okay. I said, I thought you guys wanted that kind of response from Drake. It was less dramatic. It was more, okay, this is the flow you guys want. This is the beat you guys want. I said it then, I'll say it now. I said, I thought you guys wanted that, a more thoughtful, concise Drake. But when you listen to what he said, that's what made the record bad. The record wasn't bad because it just was bad. It was bad because what he said in it. And at the end of the record, he pretty much, for lack of a better word, he laid down, right? Remember that Carlito's Way movie when Carlito got shot by Benny Blanco from the Bronx? Spoiler alert, at the end of the movie. And he said to himself, lay down. You can't go with me on this ride. The ride is over. That is exactly what Drake said at the end of the Heartpart 6. Now, Akademiks wants to make it like we didn't hear that. And we didn't understand that was a shot over the across the bow of the Kendrick, all of the Kendrick music. That was another shot back, and we somehow were forced to not accept it, right? I said at the time, I said, this record is pretty much him laying down all rights and everything to continue the battle. He basically said, you're doing too much. He said, I could like that record. You finally made something I could dance to, but I can't get jiggy with it because of all the lies. He went on defense mode, and Akademiks forgets that he himself said before the Heartpart 6 came out, you can't go on defense mode in a battle. Akademiks himself said that right before Drake dropped the Heartpart 6 in full defense mode. Full defense mode. He said some heinous shit in that record itself that sounded like a guy that had gave up, but he wanted to throw some shots at K-Dot while he gave up, right? When you listen to the Heartpart 6, what makes it an awful record is, he said in the same record, the fools that gave you that information are clowns. Then he goes in the exact same records to say, we fed you the information. Scrambling. And what happened is that is dumb, right? It's dumb. But that happened because Akademiks TV, we found out that he was in communication with Akademiks TV. That account got hacked, that whole email strand, that DM strand got hacked, and it was shown to the world that they were in cahoots before the battle had started. And one of the narratives that Akademiks TV gave to Drake was to say, yo, say we fed you the information. So Drake, in his response with the Heartpart 6, he took all of the things he was fed to try to rebut and contradict K-Dot. He put them all in there, but what he did, he wrote it too fast. He didn't have it fact checked or quality checked, because someone would have caught that, bro, you just contradicted yourself in the record. The record has several contradictions in it, and it makes it a bad response. Now, Akademiks wants to tell us now, you guys didn't accept the record. It was a fire record. You were told in a hive mentality that the record was trash. It's not a fire record, okay? I said the beat is a good lo-fi hip-hop beat. But what Drake actually says in the record, he clearly wrote himself. There was no ghostwriter, no self-respecting ghostwriter going to contradict himself in the record. So I said, if Drake wrote anything in this battle, he clearly wrote this because there's too much goofy shit in it. Okay? So therefore, Akademiks, their whole narrative was, it's so many lies that Kendrick is telling, he can't possibly win this battle. They were saying Kendrick's disses were lies. But Drake's track, you remember Maul jumping up and down in his chair, banging on his armrest, that Kendrick was lying, which made it null and void. Now, mind you, neither one of these rappers were told to name their sources, right? Neither one of these rappers were told to fact check. And in a battle, you don't have to. This is what the Drake fans fail to realize. We are going to do the dozens. I'm going to call you this. You're going to call me that. We're going to see who wins. This stuff is tongue in cheek, a lot of it. And a lot of it is going to be just innuendo and hyperbolic, right? So end of the day, we don't have to prove nothing. Keep going back to this damn Nas and Jay-Z battle where he said Rockefeller died of AIDS. That was the end of his chapter. And that's the guy you chose to name your company after. Gang, the hood went crazy when Nas dropped Ether and he called Jay-Z, fuck Jay-Z. He had all his Jay-Z rhetoric in there. Right? Now, we all know what was on the line when Takeover came out and Nas they gave Nas certain, we wasn't giving niggas 48 hours to respond back then, right? But I think Nas waited like a month or two. I don't know how long it took. I don't remember offhand. But Nas was on the clock. But during that time, I remember being the only Jay-Z fan in a room full of Nas fans, right? I remember saying, and this is Nas is my guy to this day. I'll go to bat for even one of these dudes. Let's just be honest. But at the time, I said, yo, Nas cooked. Nas cooked. I'm in a room of, I'm one man in a room of 4, 5 Nas fans getting my ass chewed out about how Nas was this, that, and the third. I said, yeah, but right now, Hov cooked them. Cooked them. Anything short of Ether, game over. Nas' career. At that time, careers were in jeopardy, gang. Now, not so much. At that time, whole careers could be lost on one battle. One really, really bad battle, especially of that magnitude. So Nas came back with a record. Nas had a whole lot of hyperbolic shit in that record, and he said a lot of things about Jay-Z that may or may not be true. Some people call it outright lies. Guess what? When that Ether shit dropped, the hood we wasn't Googling shit. We wasn't fact-checking nothing. We was like, yo, Rockefeller died of AIDS. Them niggas named they shit out to Rockefeller. We didn't care, gang. And to some Drake fans somewhere, he's saying, see, that's what I mean. You guys. So to them, you are not supposed to quote unquote lie. End of the day, when we peel back the layers, it didn't matter. We listened to it for the wittiness of it, the intelligent, the intellectual stuff of it, whether it was lies or not, didn't matter. That's what the Drake fans are hanging their hat on. This is what it is to them. Everything that Kendrick said was a lie, so it nullifies it. Nullifies Euphoria. It's not lies, gang. But some of the stuff was reaches. Okay, let's say that. Neither one of them had to prove anything. But his reaches were better than yours. His reaches made more logical sense than yours. People believed his reaches over yours. They believed that you did these things, and they believed you were an awful, compulsive gambler that was highly vindictive, and you were vengeful. They believed it. They believed you were a master manipulator. They believed it because they heard of you going after all of these different guys, women, and we heard about we heard about you allegedly hitting up Baby Keem's girl after. So we heard a lot of stuff about you and Future's girl. So we heard a lot of stuff of that nature. So it kind of rang true. Now, him beating Whitney, him letting his best, or knowing that his best friend from childhood had relations with his woman and had a baby out of wedlock, and everybody knew but him, we didn't believe that. Your disses didn't stick. Right? The Drake fans don't care about the plausibility of the disses. His disses were weak. They were weak. Drake fans don't care about that. They want to chalk it up to lies and truth. When somehow what Drake says was lies. You remember Maul? Yo, tell me about that. So Maul believed literally everything that Drake said. Didn't need no proof. It didn't matter. It was Drake said it, it's true. That was Maul's logic. And that's a lot of Drake fans' logic. Drake said it, it's true. Answer that. They wanted Kendrick to come back and answer it. So when you're dealing with that mentality, yo, answer that, then you get this victim-ass rap, Heartpart 6, where Drake is literally trying to answer the accusations. That's not how you battle. You come back and you hit him with more stuff. Now, you got to understand, Drake didn't have more stuff. He's fishing around, throwing 100 grand around, this, that, and the third, Bitcoin all over the place. The same thing he did to Pusha. He couldn't get dirt on him. The guy's community loves him too much. The dudes that's around him loves him too much to fold on him. So he didn't have nothing else. So he started making up shit, which didn't fly. So the Heartpart 6 is a lot of victimization, a lot of explaining yourself, and a lot of giving up. Akademiks doesn't want to remember none of that. He's like, that was a fire record. You guys got caught up in the hive mentality because the internet was telling you it wasn't. Well, end of the day, Akademiks, let me just remind you, a lot of us was saying it wasn't. A lot of us heard it. We heard it again. We listened to the lyrics that he wrote because he clearly wrote this. I know a lot of people think he got a ghostwriter. No ghostwriter wrote this shit. This is why it is mediocre strategy. It wasn't strategically done. It wasn't very good at trying to strategically win the battle. It was a way of bowing out of the battle when you were telling him to drop like 100 times. Okay? So that's where we ended up with that. Now, Akademiks is on a mission right now to set it up for Iceman. If you pay attention to what he said now that consensus has changed. Now hip-hop is boring, right? They got this narrative that hip-hop is boring. Everybody now they've waited so long. He starved out the community. Mind you, 40 tracks later, Drake has starved us out. And now everybody, like myself and others, right? Except for the haters, right? He started going at the haters, whooping feet, salute the whooping feet, this, that, and the third, right? So he's starting to say, now you guys have had so much time with this boring hip-hop. Even the ones, Ebro and Charlemagne, even those guys are begging for this return to restore the game. And Drake has waited just long enough that the consensus is that now everybody, for the most part, wants Iceman. They're trying to line it up, gang. I don't know who he thinks he's fooling, but they're trying to line this shit up to make it that now it's been long enough, right? And now you guys, you want Iceman, you want Drake, you want the hit records, you want that feeling, and he's going to restore it with Iceman, gang. It is a master class in trying to rewrite the narrative, manipulate the hive mentality, right? Because if they understand it's a hive mentality, then they realize we gotta shift the mentality of the hive or the record won't work. So now what they're doing is we got to go into this with the mentality of we can't try to just bang up against the hive without understanding it. So now he's trying to understand it. Why did they not like the Heartpart 6? It wasn't that bad of a record. Actually, it should have. No, if you rewrite it, then it was another shot that Kendrick never responded to. You got to understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to say, he shot another record at Dot and he didn't get a response. And you guys didn't care because you made up your mind that the Heartpart 6 was the last record in the battle. No, the Heartpart 6 was where he waved the white flag. Okay? And we understood that this is the best he can do. He can't go deeper than this because for one, he don't have nothing. And for two, his career is on the line. He doesn't really want to risk. He doesn't really want to risk going deeper into this and have more stuff come out. So then he packed up his bag, went home, and called his lawyer. Drew up a lawsuit, didn't want to direct it right at Kendrick, who he really was mad at. He looked around and figured out, oh, I can shoot this at UMG. It's the dumbest lawsuit ever. Anybody telling you this lawsuit was smart is ridiculous. Okay? So we talked about this shit for 2.5 years. We're still here, right? And we're getting, I think we're about to break 3 years with this shit. So we're getting a point where they can't continue to try to go against the narrative that, okay, he could have won, but he choked. No, you got to make it like, well, he put the record out and the hive gave the win to K-Dot, right? They've tried every single solitary narrative that they could. Now that Iceman is about to drop, they realize none of the narratives works. None of the narratives worked. So as we're nearing May 15th, right? It's May 1st. As we're only 15 days out, according to them, in case unless he pushes it back. That narrative up until this point has not worked. The Heartpart 6 being the last record of the battle is not a good point to jump in with Iceman because he's going to be dissing on Iceman, gang. So you're gonna use your little K-bot brain to say, wait a minute. How can he be dissing on Iceman when the last time we heard him during the battle, he gave up and waved the white flag? How are you now trying to diss a man? So they got to get in front of that. And they can say, well, he never really backed out. You guys kind of were cool on that at that point. At that point, it was you guys. It wasn't us. It was them, right? Right? How Common say it wasn't us. It was them, the Warriors. Like, salute the Common, right? I'm a Common head too. So end of the day, now the narrative is going to be, you guys, you read it wrong. You didn't listen to the Heartpart 6 for yourself. You let people tell you he gave up. It's a whole thing right now, gang, where we got a whole administration that just will tell you shit you saw yesterday. They'll tell you that didn't happen. And that is pervasive throughout all of social media, and with a lot of slime balls and goofballs. They love to rewrite things. They'll tell you up is down, down is up, when it's 2 weeks later. So what they're doing now is they're going to slowly push that the Heartpart 6 was a response. Drake never felt that the battle was over, and he was waiting for a response, but he didn't get one because you guys, with your hive mentality, awarded unceremoniously awarded it, or ceremoniously awarded it to K-Dot, while Drake is over there waiting for a response that never came. By the time we get in 5 years, gang, this shit gonna morph into Drake got the last laugh. I'm telling you where it's going. They're going to make the Heartpart 6 into the final shot that never was responded to, right? That's where this thing is going. So now when he hits more, he can literally come on Iceman saying Kendrick never responded. I'm telling you right now, by the time this shit's done, it could be a whole narrative that Drake won because he never got the response. So you got to understand where they're going with this. This is all contrived. It's nonsense. But Akademiks is saying now, if you listen to the clip closely, if you keep going, I know Akademiks is annoying as shit to listen to, but if you keep listening to the clip, he goes on to say hip-hop got boring, bitches are asking for Drake, guys are this is Akademiks' words, and now they're more open because they've waited long enough for this response. So now, when Iceman dropped, this is the response you guys were asking for. He gets at Kendrick for not responding, and he gets at the fans for being lemmings to a degree and not putting pressure on Kendrick to respond. And there were some calls, let's just be honest. It weren't a lot because they were dumb. But there were some calls. They tried it, I want to say 24 hours. They tried it. They tried it, gang, but the voices were too loud. They did try to say Kendrick has 24 hours. They tried to make it that K-Dot had to respond at Heartpart 6, but any logical person understood that the Heartpart 6 was a bow out song. He bowed out. But they did try it. They tried a bunch of narratives, gang, and they did try to say, yo, K-Dot got to respond, but it fizzled out quickly. So now they can pick that ball up. I'm sure they can go in their old tweets for the day that he dropped the Heartpart 6. A lot of Drake fans, you got to understand that. Go back to that day, they were celebrating. Before the consensus came out, they were like, yo, Doc, what are you going to battle over? So if they pick back up, guys, they got a whole lot of narratives, gang. They need a bunch of them. If they pick back up right there, Iceman starts off where, yo, I never lost. Who said I lost? Who da-da-da? And then Maul jumps in, then they get the narrative going. This is where it's going. But the good people in the real culture would never fall for this. But there are people who will. And then you're going to be sitting there listening to think pieces and this, that, and the third for the next 2 weeks after Iceman dropped. Well, did he really lose? Really? By the time you get done and these magazines start writing these think pieces to pro Drake, before you look up, you'll be pulling out your hair because you're discussing a battle that is over. You're going to be discussing it again, trying to explain again why he was awarded the winner. Gang, I can't make this up. This is where this is going, and Akademiks is going to lead that charge. He's already telling you that you were told to not like it. And he's already telling you, but you're going to love Iceman. When you pop this in, gang, you got to understand, they're trying to manipulate you. When you pop this in, think of it for yourself. Just like J. Cole just told you a few weeks ago. Don't listen to other people's opinion about music. Listen to it for yourself. They know that the culture is not behind him or J. Cole right now. for the most part. So they're coming out like they're trying to rewrite this hive mentality. And it does exist, but it exists for a reason, because a lot of people think the same way. All right? The hive mentality is real. It does exist. I'm not going to sit and tell you it doesn't. But at the same time, it's a hive because a lot of people agree. Okay? And if you're on the outside of the hive, you hate the hive. You say words like unfair. Akademiks says that word, unfair. I told you, my brother-in-law, he loves Drake, right? That's what he said literally the day after, because he hit me up screaming, right? Hit me up when the Heartpart 6, I tell this story all the time. When the Heartpart 6 dropped, my brother-in-law called me, and I couldn't hear nothing but him running through the house screaming, right? When the Heartpart 6 dropped, the Drake fans was like, oh, they was going crazy. He running through the house screaming because to them, Drake had just beat Kendrick in the battle. I said, let's see what the consensus is in the morning. I said, we're going to both sleep on it, and let's see what it is in the morning. Gang, by the morning time, the consensus on Twitter was this shit is absolute trash. They started breaking down all of the fallacies in the lyrics, and guess what, my brother-in-law, within 12 hours or less, guess what he was saying? You guys are unfair. That's the word. Unfair. You don't give him any grace. You don't give him a chance to win. This is what my brother-in-law was saying. And by the end of that night, most of the Drake fans were saying the same thing. This hive mentality is unfair to Drake. And that's why he got it. He put his butt on his back and called his lawyers because we were being unfair. No, we weren't being unfair. We were telling the truth. Right? But that's the words they're going to use, unfair, in a rap battle of all things. So what we're getting to a point is where they're trying every single solitary way to break that unfair hive mentality, and Akademiks is leading the charge. They're trying to poke around and see what they can stick, where they can stick the pin in and pop whatever and get in that hive mentality and edge you out of thinking like the rest of the hive. If they can get one weakness, they can get a bunch more, and they can start to permeate that and start to say, well, Drake wasn't so bad, and did he really lose? Okay, they're trying to make you, they're setting you up to like Iceman because they need you to like it desperately. All right, I don't know what else to tell you, but end of the day, I don't think the people who agreed that Iceman was, that Heartpart 6 wasn't it, are going to change magically because Iceman drops. You're going to get some people that say, you know what, this ain't that bad, and maybe we moved a little quickly to rush their judgment. Ain't going to be that many, gang. I'm just going to be honest. For the most part, wherever you stand is where you're going to be. You may even give Iceman a shot, and you may even say it wasn't bad. You may even say it was good, but you're not going to change your mind, and most people won't, that the Heartpart 6 was not good. All right? And that Drake folded, and that Drake lost that battle. They want to rewrite that because then they can rewrite everything else. I don't know, man. Let me know what you think in the comments. CLBMG. Head on over to black-yeti.com. Let them know who sent you. They ship all over the continental U.S. All right. Also, every Wednesday night, we go live on the West Show. We've been missing a couple because it's just a lot going on, but we'll be back. All right. Wednesday nights, 9:15, 9:30. Okay. And we got a new track called Peanut Butter Tim's. Me, TJ, and Fliz. Lock in. That's in my videos. If you search Peanut Butter Tim's, that'll come up. Get in the comments. Let us know what you think. Head over to my Patreon, man. Become a member. I'm out of here. I'm going to catch you on that flip side. Peace.
Look, mission impossible to drop a few lines without dropping old times when Southern Hill was still a gold mine. When pistol grips was my shit and I sold mine. When Alias was not a show and they told mine. Elevate your mind with high quality THC infused products. BlackYeti.com. Black-Yeti.com.
CLB.
Get my coat, get my sheepskin, grab my wallet, get my pocket knife, and get that hat right there. We out. Grab my pocket knife too. Let's go. When I first came to the city, niggas didn't believe me. I just wanted to join a team and throw assist pass easily. 6 man off the bench, alley-oop pass freely. Suit up for one game and hope a scout might see me. But nah, niggas is greedy, wasn't rocking with him. Unplugged the scoreboard, put a lock on the gym. Told me to power forward, point guard at the rim. And left me with no center and a ball full of phlegm. Not knowing that I'm a dog, a Rottweiler within, with the heart of a pit bull that don't bark for pretend. My bites cut deep, break the bone and the skin, with the level of hustlenomics you do not comprehend. So first I took a block down on the west side end, and then secured a spot with some goons and some kin, and then sent out some flyers, let the games begin. And in 6 months time, the city like that's him. Oh yeah, he the one that moved the hustle to the burbs. And yeah, he the one that knocked the hustlers off the curb. And yeah, he the one that set up shop without a word. And he the one that got it cracking, and all he did was rapping by the Hooters. I kept killers from being shooters. Put a mic in a thug's hand, now he loyal like past fans. Take a man off the streets past the needles and crack cans. Promise mama to keep him safe, then put some food in his face, and he'll kill for you. But I don't need him for that. Click like, click share, tell them bitches we back. Share the whole location, tell them niggas where we at. Cause we out here and we ain't the cheese, we the trap.